So let's get straight into it. How to come up with high converting YouTube video ideas for 100% free. Now, here are some results from our agency. If you want to pause them and have a read through, then please do. But I want to get straight into it now because we have a lot to cover here, as you can see. And you don't want to miss out on any of it. So make sure you keep watching. So what we're going to learn from watching this video. Number one, how to consistently come up with YouTube video ideas that attract buyers, not just viewers. Why most creators pick the wrong topics and accidentally repel qualified leads. How to use search intent to find ideas people are actively looking for or already looking for. How to validate video ideas before you ever hit record. How to turn everyday client conversations into high converting content. Why interesting ideas rarely convert and what to do instead. How to build a repeatable idea system instead of guessing every week. How to structure ideas so they work for both growth and sales. How to stop relying on trends, virality, or luck for YouTube success. And how to create ideas that compound over time instead of dying after 48 hours. So as you can see, like I said, we have a lot to cover. So first things first, how to consistently come up with YouTube video ideas that attract buyers, not just viewers. So most creators struggle with video ideas, not because they lack creativity, but because they're solving the wrong problem. They assume the goal of a video is to get views, when in reality, the goal is to attract the right person at the right moment. And as we carry on going into this, you're going to see that the ideation of your videos is purely for views, which means you're competing against entertainment channels. And like I said, we're going to go through that, but you want to stop doing that. Views are a byproduct. Buyers are the objective. When you shift your thinking from what would be interesting to watch to what someone would actively search for when they want help, everything changes. So stop wanting to get views. Stop making videos that will be interesting to watch. As you can tell, I'm on a dock right now. This isn't interesting to watch, but I'm giving you what you need to know. And if you click off, then I know that you've lost the value that's in this video. But I know I didn't make this video to be interesting to watch. I made it for someone who would actively search for what they need help with. And then, like it says here, everything changes from then on. Buyer-focused video ideas start with intent, not inspiration. A buyer does not open YouTube to be entertained. They open it because something in their life or business is not working and they're looking for a solution. Now, when it says buyer does not open YouTube to be entertained, we're talking about business here. We're not talking about the typical YouTube viewer who's looking for a Sidemen video, who's watching a video for entertainment, who's watching a video because they're bored. Like it says here, we're looking for a buyer, and a buyer does not open YouTube to be entertained. Now, the highest converting videos on the platform are built around these moments. They answer specific questions, solve defined problems, and remove confusion for people who are already motivated to act. The easiest way to consistently generate these ideas is to stop guessing and start listening. Every sales call, DM, email, objection, and follow-up question you receive is already a validated YouTube video idea. And this is exactly what we do for all of our clients that we sign. The first, let's say, 12 videos that we make for them are all videos that are questions asked by their ICPs, most frequently asked questions. So we go through their sales calls, we go through their DMs, we check their emails, we ask them for all sales recordings so we can see the objections. And every one of those videos, every one of those questions or conversations are a video idea for you to post. If one person is asking, hundreds more are thinking about it. When you turn real buyer conversations into content, you eliminate risk. You are no longer hoping an idea works, you are responding to proven demand. Another reason buyer-focused ideas outperform is because they naturally filter your audience. Broad topics attract everyone and convert no one. Specific topics attract fewer people but far better ones. I've got an example from Alex Eubank over here. So, this is his main channel, and the title is What I Wish I Knew When I Started Lifting. This is a broad topic, and it attracts everyone and converts no one, which is why he doesn't even have his offer inside of his description. Whereas his second channel, his business channel, look at this title, How to Grow a Fitness Personal Brand in 2025. This is obviously going to be a video that converts leads into buyers. It's not a video that's broad, it's not a video that's for everyone. So we take inspiration from this. Now, a video titled around a precise outcome or constraint immediately signals relevance. The viewer feels like the content was made for them, which increases trust before you even explain your solution inside of the video. Consistency comes from systemizing this process. Instead of brainstorming from scratch every week, you pull from a growing bank of real problems your market is already trying to solve. And that just goes back to the sales call things, to the DMs, to the emails, to the objections. They're all videos you can already record. And over time, this creates a content library that compounds. Every video continues attracting qualified viewers long after it is published, because buyer problems do not disappear, they repeat. And this is, once again, how your videos become evergreen. Your videos will be getting views in 6 months, in 8 months, in a year from now, which means you're going to be passively making money from these highly converting video ideas. When you build your YouTube strategy around buyer intent instead of trends, you stop chasing virality and start building leverage. The channel becomes predictable, the audience becomes higher quality, and your content stops feeling like a gamble and starts functioning like an asset. Next topic: why most creators pick the wrong topics and accidentally repel qualified leads. This is a very important one. Most creators do not realize they are actively repelling qualified leads with their content. They assume that if a video is educational or popular, it must be helping their business. In reality, the wrong topics can attract the wrong people and train the right people to ignore you, which obviously is not what you want. Topic selection is not neutral. Every topic you choose signals who your content is for and who it is not. One of the most common mistakes is choosing topics based on what is trending or what other large creators are posting. Trends are designed to maximize reach, not relevance. When you chase them, you compete for attention with entertainment channels instead of positioning yourself as a solution provider. So this is why I added these two pictures here. You don't want to be competing with Mr. Beast. Obviously, he's putting a lot more effort in and his goal is views, and he does that very well. So he's going to outperform you and he's going to beat you when it comes to that. Someone you should be competing against is someone like Smith Reese, who has a very, very good business channel, and it's still going to be hard to compete against, but it's going to be a lot easier to compete against than Mr. Beast because you don't even want views. You just think that views is a measure of success when it comes to YouTube when it's not. The result is a flood of casual viewers who enjoy the content but have no intention of buying. Another way creators repel qualified leads is by being too broad. Topics that try to speak to everyone end up resonating with no one. When a potential buyer cannot immediately see themselves in the title or premise of a video, they keep scrolling. Even if the information inside the video is strong, the initial framing already lost them, which is why your click-through rate is probably low. Now, a good target you should aim for is 5% minimum per video. If you have a 5% click-through rate or above, then your video is doing well when it comes to packaging, so your title and your thumbnail. Many creators also choose topics that showcase their knowledge instead of addressing the buyer's pain. They want to demonstrate expertise, so they create abstract or high-level content. The problem is that buyers do not look for intelligence, they look for clarity. Content that feels impressive but not immediately useful creates distance instead of trust. Now, I should have added an Alex Hormozy picture in here because what he does is he explains business very simple. He simplifies very complicated topics. And by doing that, he gets the viewers who aren't intelligent and the viewers who are intelligent, because breaking down a complex topic into a simple explanation is very difficult to do, and it shows that you understand the topic properly. There's also a subtle but damaging mistake that happens over time. Creators unintentionally train their audience to expect low-stakes content. When every video is general, motivational, or opinion-based, the channel becomes associated with entertainment rather than transformation. When a high-intent viewer finally lands on the channel, they assume there is no clear path to help them, and they just move on from your channel or move on from your video. Qualified leads are repelled not because the creator lacks skill, because the topics signal the wrong intent. Buyers are drawn to specificity, outcomes, and urgency. When those elements are missing, the content feels optional. Optional content is consumed, necessary content converts. The shift happens when creators stop asking what will get the most views and start asking what will attract the right person. The moment topic selection is aligned with buyer psychology, content stops leaking opportunity and starts pulling in demand. Now, how to use search intent to find ideas people are already looking for. Search intent is the single most reliable way to remove guesswork from YouTube content. When someone types in a query into YouTube, they're telling you exactly what they want help with and how urgently they want it. Unlike browsing, where viewers are open to anything, search happens when there is friction. A problem exists, confusion exists, a decision needs to be made. That moment is where the highest quality viewers come from, and is exactly what you want. Most creators misunderstand search intent and think it's only about keywords. In reality, it is about psychology. Two people can search for similar phrases for completely different reasons. One might be researching, another might be ready to act. The job of the creator is to recognize the difference and position their video to meet the viewer at the correct stage of awareness. The easiest way to find high intent ideas is by starting inside YouTube itself. When you begin typing in a phrase into the search bar, YouTube automatically suggests completions based on real user behavior. These suggestions are not random, they're pulled from millions of searches and represent what people are actively trying to solve. When a suggestion appears repeatedly, it means there is consistent demand. So have a look at this before you think about a YouTube video idea, or if you've thought of a good idea that you think will convert well, go into the YouTube search and check if it's highly demanded. Another powerful signal comes from studying the videos that already rank. When you search a topic and see videos with poor thumbnails, unclear titles, or outdated information ranking at the top, that is an opportunity. It tells you that the demand exists, but the supply is weak. High converting creators do not avoid competitive searches, they look for undeserved ones. Search intent also allows you to align ideas with buyer readiness. Early stage searches are often phrased as how to or what is. Mid stage searches include comparisons, mistakes, and best practices. Late stage searches are more specific and outcome focused. When you understand these patterns, you can deliberately create content that attracts viewers at each stage of the journey instead of hoping that one video does everything. And that's what you need to look at your channel as. You need to look at your channel as a bunch of videos that coexist together. Rather than posting all these individual pieces of content that do completely different things, you want it to be like a path, like a system. You need to systemize your YouTube channel. One of the biggest advantages of search-based content is longevity. Trend-driven videos spike and disappear. Search-driven videos compound. A video that ranks for a valuable query can bring qualified viewers for months or years without additional effort. This is why search content is the foundation of any YouTube strategy built for revenue rather than virality. Creators often avoid search because it feels uncreative or limiting. In reality, search gives structure to creativity. You still decide how to explain, frame, and deliver the message. You're simply anchoring that creativity to proven demand instead of intuition. When search intent drives idea selection, content stops feeling like a gamble. Every video is published with a clear reason for existing. The viewer arrives with a problem, stays because they feel understood, and leaves with a sense that the creator can help them further. That is the difference between content that gets watched and content that converts. Before we continue, I'm sure you already know that YouTube is not an easy platform to be successful on. It takes time, effort, and energy. It is 100 fundamentals put into one single platform. The thing is, once you understand all of those fundamentals, it becomes easy. Although it becomes easier, it still takes a lot of time, which is exactly why we created our offer that we have. It's a fully done for you YouTube sales process. We've worked with some of the biggest names in the online space. If you want to see the results, then feel free to message me on Instagram, which is carlos.conquer. We handle everything other than recording, such as ideation, scripting, editing titles, thumbnails, descriptions, 3 per video, etc. If you find that interesting and you want YouTube to be a new source of income for you, then check the link below. However, let's go into the next topic. How to validate video ideas before you ever hit record. Most creators lose time, energy, and momentum, not because their execution is bad, but because they commit to ideas that were never going to work in the first place. Validation is the step that removes that risk. It allows you to know before you ever hit record whether a video has a real chance of performing and converting. When validation is done properly, YouTube stops feeling like trial and error and starts feeling intentional. The first layer of validation is demand. An idea is only worth pursuing if people are already looking for it. This does not mean the topic needs millions of searches. It means the problem needs to exist. If someone has never searched for a solution, it usually means that the pain is not strong enough yet. High converting videos solve problems people are already trying to fix, not problems they might care about someday. The second layer of validation is competition quality, not competition volume. Many creators see competition and assume the idea is saturated. In reality, saturation only exists when high-quality solutions dominate the search results. If the top-ranking videos are vague, outdated, poorly packaged, or misaligned with buyer intent, that is a green light. It means demand exists, but it is not being served well. Like these 2 videos that I've added in here for a TikTok shop search term that I put in. These videos are not very well packaged. Another validation signal comes from language. When you see the same phrasing repeated across search results, comments, and competitor titles, that language should guide your framing. Buyers tell you how they think through the words that they use. Using that language in your title and opening lines increases relevance and reduces friction immediately. Creators also overlook internal validation. Your own data is often the strongest indicator. Look at which past videos generated longer watch time, more comments, or higher quality messages. Those signals reveal which problems resonate most deeply with your audience. Validation is not always external, sometimes the market has already spoken through your channel. Validation also involves clarity of outcome. Before recording, you should be able to answer one question clearly. What will the viewer be able to do differently after watching this video? So for example, I already know that answer to this question for this video. You will be able to ideate your own YouTube ideas that convert well rather than getting views. If that outcome feels vague, the idea is not ready. Buyers respond to clarity. If you cannot define the transformation, the viewer will not feel it. One of the most important benefits of validation is confidence. When you know an idea is rooted in demand, aligned with buyer language, and positioned against weak competition, delivery improves. You speak more clearly, you structure better, you remove unnecessary filler. That confidence translates directly to retention and trust. When creators skip validation, they rely on hope. When creators validate, they rely on evidence. Over time, this creates a feedback loop where each video improves the next. This is like what I spoke about earlier, about how you don't want it to be standalone pieces of content. You want them to all be in a path, and you want it to be systemized. Content becomes sharper, results become more predictable, and the channel evolves with intention rather than guesswork. Validating ideas before recording is not about playing it safe, it's about playing it smart. The goal is not to avoid risk, the goal is to remove unnecessary risk so effort compounds instead of evaporates. How to turn everyday client conversations into high converting content. One of the most overlooked sources of high converting YouTube content is the conversations you are already having with clients, prospects, and leads. Most creators believe they need to invent ideas, brainstorm creatively, or research endlessly to find good topics. In reality, the highest quality ideas are already being handed to them in plain sight. Every question asked on a sales call, every objection raised in a DM, and every moment of hesitation before someone commits is a direct window to buyer intent. Client conversations are powerful because they're hypothetical. They come from people who are close to making a decision. When someone asks a question in a real conversation, it means the problem matters enough to slow them down. That friction is exactly what converts on YouTube. Content built from these moments feels relevant immediately because it mirrors the viewer's internal dialogue. Most creators make the mistake of answering these questions privately and then moving on. High leverage creators extract those questions and turn them into public assets. When you answer one person's question on YouTube, you're answering it for hundreds or thousands of people who are thinking the exact same thing but have never been reached out. This is how content scales without losing specificity. As you can see, a guy that does this very well is Eamon. All of his videos are questions from his sales calls, from his DMs, from his comments, etc. Another reason client conversations convert so well is because they naturally reveal objections. Objections are not resistance, they're requests for clarity. When a buyer says they are unsure, confused, or hesitant, they're not rejecting the offer. They're looking for reassurance. Content that addresses objections directly builds trust faster than any highlight reel or testimonial ever could. The language used in these conversations matters more than most creators realize. Buyers tell you exactly how they think through the words that they use. When you reuse that language in your titles, hooks, and explanations, the content feels familiar. Familiarity reduces friction. Reduced friction increases retention and conversion. Turning conversations into content also keeps your channel grounded in reality. Instead of drifting towards abstract advice or generic education, your videos stay anchored to real problems people are actively trying to solve. This prevents the channel from becoming informational but ineffective. There is also a compounding effect. As your content improves, the quality of conversations you have improves. Better conversations create better content attracts better leads. Over time, the channel becomes a reflection of the market itself, constantly updating and refining based on real demand. When creators rely on client conversations for ideas, they stop guessing, they stop chasing trends, they stop worrying about whether a video will resonate. They already know it will because it has resonated before in a one-on-one setting. YouTube simply becomes the amplification layer. High converting content is not created in isolation, it's extracted from the front lines of your business. The more closely your content mirrors the conversations happening behind the scenes, the more natural and effective it becomes at turning viewers into qualified leads. Why interesting ideas rarely convert and what to do instead. As you can see, I added Mr. Beast in here because he has very interesting ideas, but they would rarely convert if he was a businessman posting business content. Obviously, he has his brands on the side and things like that. But if he was selling a course or a mentorship, it would not convert as well as it would for highly converting ideated content. One of the most damaging misconceptions in YouTube content creation is the belief that interesting ideas lead to conversions. They do not. Interesting ideas attract attention, spark curiosity, and entertain, but they rarely create urgency. And without urgency, viewers consume content passively instead of taking action. This is why so many creators have videos that perform well on the surface, but do nothing for their business underneath. Interesting ideas are usually built around novelty. They're framed to surprise, intrigue, or entertain. While this can generate clicks, it often attracts viewers who are browsing rather than buying. These viewers enjoy the content but do not feel compelled to change their behavior afterward. They leave feeling informed, not motivated. The core issue is that interesting content is optional. It adds value, but it does not resolve pain. Buyers do not take action because something is clever or insightful. They take action because a problem feels urgent and unresolved. Content that converts speaks directly to friction, not fascination. Another reason interesting ideas fail to convert is because they lack specificity. They are designed to appeal to a wide audience, which means they avoid clear constraints, outcomes, or consequences. Without those elements, the viewer does not feel personally addressed. When a video does not feel personal, trust remains shallow. Creators are often drawn to interesting ideas because they're safer. They avoid direct claims, clear positioning, and decisive language. This feels comfortable, but comfort is not persuasive. Persuasion comes from clarity. Clarity requires committing to a point of view, even if it means excluding some people. What converts instead are necessary ideas. Necessary ideas make the viewer feel like they cannot ignore the message. They highlight a mistake, expose a risk, or reveal a gap in understanding that directly affects the viewer's outcome. Necessary content feels timely and relevant because it addresses something that is already costing the viewer time, money, or progress. Necessary ideas are often less flashy, but far more powerful. And this is why you can have two channels, one that has 10,000 subscribers and one that has 50,000 subscribers. And the person with 10,000 subscribers, if they're creating content and ideating their videos this way, they could be making a lot more money than the person with 50,000 subscribers, which once again, like I say in every one of my videos, it doesn't matter if you get views or subscribers. They're built around specific problems, clear outcomes, and direct consequences. They force the viewer to reflect on their own situation rather than admire the creator's insight. This internal reflection is what leads to action. To shift from interesting to converting, creators must reframe how they choose topics. Instead of asking whether an idea would be engaging, they must ask whether it would change a decision. Would this video make someone rethink their strategy? Would it reduce uncertainty? Would it move them closer to taking the next step? If the answer is no, the idea may still get views, but it will not drive results. High converting channels prioritize usefulness over novelty. They are not trying to impress, they're trying to resolve. When content consistently resolves meaningful problems, viewers begin to associate the channel with progress. That association is what turns attention into trust and trust into conversion. Interesting ideas create watchers, necessary ideas create buyers. The creator who understands the distinction stop chasing engagement and start building leverage through content that actually moves people forward. So once again, don't look at views as your main goal. Don't look at subscribers as your main goal. Look at the things, look at conversions, look at clicks on your link, look at things of that sort. Look at who's watching your video. Rather than trying to get views from a bunch of people who aren't interested, try get a decent amount of views from a lot of people who are interested. Doing that alone would already increase your conversion rate. How to build a repeatable idea system instead of guessing every week. Most creators are not inconsistent because they lack discipline. They're inconsistent because their idea process is unsustainable. Every week, it feels like starting from zero. They sit down, stare at a blank page, scroll YouTube for inspiration, and hope something clicks. That mental friction builds quietly over time until posting feels heavy, stressful, and optional. Guessing is exhausting, and you've definitely done this alone. I've done it myself too. creators that we worked with have also done it before they worked with us. It's all these small channels that think it's views and subscribers, and you post a video and it doesn't get as many views as you want, and you give up because you think you're not going to make any money from it, even though you will. I had a channel back in the day with 200 subscribers, I believe, and I had a video that hit 1K views, and I closed a client for $6,000 from 1,000 views. And the video was terrible, to be completely honest with you. But that just shows you, first of all, you don't know who's watching. Second of all, views don't matter. And third of all, subscribers don't matter. Systems are relieving. A repeatable idea system removes decision fatigue. Instead of asking, what should I post this week? That question becomes, which proven category does this idea fall into? When ideas come from a structured framework, creativity stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like execution. You're no longer inventing, you're selecting. The foundation of a repeatable system is understanding that ideas are not individual events, they're patterns. Buyer problems repeat, objections repeat, confusion repeats. When you identify these patterns, one insight can produce multiple videos without diluting impact. This is how high performing channels publish consistently without burning out. A strong idea system is built around a small number of core problem categories. Those might include getting clients, scaling results, avoiding mistakes, understanding trade offs, or choosing the right strategy. Every idea you create fits into one of these buckets. This ensures alignment across your channel and prevents random topic drift. Another key element is separating idea generation from execution. Creators who guess every week try to do both at the same time. They brainstorm and record in one sitting. Now, again, this is what I used to do. A lot of my clients used to do it, and most likely you do it too. You think of a video idea, or you think to yourself, okay, I'm going to record tomorrow. And on the same day that you're recording, you think of the video idea and you prepare what you're going to say. You can't do all of that in one day. It's not short form content. YouTube is very different. And if you want to convert your viewers, it takes a lot more time than one day of just thinking and then hitting record. You need to take your time with it and idea it like I've been showing you. This video alone has been planned and created for over a week and a half. A systemized creator captures ideas continuously and executes them in batches. When ideas are collected passively and executed intentionally, consistency becomes natural. Repeatable systems also rely on feedback loops. Performance data, comments, questions, and conversations are not just metrics, they're inputs. Each video teaches you something about what resonates and what does not. A system evolves because it listens. Guessing repeats mistakes, and systems refine outcomes. I implemented this picture into this because, as you can see, in the last 7 days, Mr. Beast has generated 839 million views. And views don't matter and subscribers don't matter. But to get that amount of views, you need a very good ideation system. And he does not take 1 day to come up with his videos, or this would be impossible. Same goes when it comes for conversions. You can't think of a random video and then just hit upload and post it. It doesn't work like that. He has a big team helping him out. He has probably an ideation team alone doing all of the ideas for his videos that are coming out in the future. Long story short, just don't think of a video and record it straight away because it won't perform as well as you think it will. One of the biggest advantages of a repeatable system is confidence. When you know there is always another relevant idea waiting, posting stops feeling risky, and you also stop caring as much. I've got a video I'm going to record after this, which means I'll have 2 videos ready, plus any other ones that I have ready too. So if one video doesn't do well, it doesn't affect me and I'm not going to stop posting, and you need to do the same thing. You're not betting on a single video, like I just said. You're running a process. That mindset shift alone improves delivery, clarity, and long-term momentum. Creators who rely on guessing often disappear when motivation drops. Creators who rely on systems show up regardless of mood, trends, or short-term results. Over time, this consistency compounds trust. The audience begins to expect value. Expectation is what builds habit. Habit is what sustains growth. A repeatable idea system turns YouTube from a creative gamble into an operational asset. Instead of wondering what might work, you execute on what already has. Instead of chasing inspiration, you follow structure. And when structure is in place, growth becomes predictable rather than accidental. How to structure ideas so they work for both growth and sales. Most creators believe that they have to choose between growth and sales. They think growth content is broad, entertaining, and safe, while sales content is niche, direct, and risky. That full separation is why so many channels either grow with no revenue or sell with no scale. In reality, the highest performing YouTube channels are built on ideas that serve both purposes at the same time, but in different ways. Ideas that work for both growth and sales are structured, not accidental. They begin wide enough to attract the right type of stranger, but specific enough to signal relevance. Growth happens when a video earns attention. Sales happen when that attention is held, guided, and given a clear next step. Structure is what bridges the gap. The first part of a high performing idea focuses on entry. It speaks to a problem that a large number of people recognize immediately. This is where growth is in. This is where growth is unlocked. The title and premise must be relatable and timely without being vague. If the problem feels real and present, the right viewers will click. This is where most creators stop thinking. High converting creators think one step further. The middle of the idea is where sales potential is created. This is where clarity replaces curiosity. Instead of listing tips, the content explains why the problem exists and why most people approach it incorrectly. This reframing is what positions the creator as an authority. Viewers do not just learn what to do, they learn how to think differently. That shift in perspective is what builds trust. The last part of the idea focuses on direction. Growth content leaves the viewer informed. Sales driven content leaves the viewer oriented. They know what the next logical step is, even if they do not take it immediately. The idea naturally points towards further help, deeper explanation, or a more complete solution without forcing it. This makes the call to action feel helpful rather than promotional. Creators often sabotage this balance by either being too broad all the way through or too narrow too early. Broad content that never sharpens feels entertaining but disposable. Narrow content that demands commitment too soon feels aggressive and limiting. The structure must mirror the buyer's internal journey, not the creator's desire for results. When ideas are structured properly, growth and sales amplify each other. Growth brings in more of the right people. Sales signals tell YouTube which viewers are most satisfied. Those signals improve distribution. Improved distribution brings more qualified viewers. The system feeds itself. This is why channels built with intention often grow slower at first but accelerate faster over time. Each video strengthens the foundation instead of chasing short-term spikes. Over time, the channel becomes known for not just views, but for outcomes. Structuring ideas for both growth and sales is not about compromise, it's about sequence. Attention first, clarity second, direction last. When those elements are aligned, YouTube stops being a trade off between reach and revenue and becomes a platform where both increase together. How to stop relying on trends, virality, or luck for YouTube success. Relying on trends, virality, or luck is one of the fastest ways to stay inconsistent on YouTube. It creates temporary spikes followed by long periods of silence. Creators who build their strategy around what is popular today are constantly reacting instead of building. Reaction feels productive in the moment, but it rarely compounds. Trends are designed to reward speed, not substance. By the time most creators identify a trend, it's already past its peak. Even when a video performs well, the attention it attracts is shallow. Trend-driven viewers consume and move on. They do not build loyalty, and they rarely convert. This creates a cycle where creators chase the next spike to replace the last one. Virality has a similar problem. Viral content is unpredictable and difficult to replicate. When success comes from randomness, creators cannot reverse engineer it. They do not know what caused the result, which makes it impossible to scale intentionally over time, and this creates frustration rather than momentum. Luck-based growth also distorts behavior. Creators begin to optimize for moments instead of systems. They focus on external validation rather than internal control. When performance dips, confidence dips with it. This emotion volatility is one of the main reasons creators burn out or quit entirely. This is why you see so many entertainment channels quit for a 6-month plus period. For example, Sidemen, Beta Squad, Nelk, etc. They get burnt out from not being able to reverse engineer specific spikes from videos. Sustainable YouTube success comes from removing randomness wherever possible. That does not mean creativity disappears, it means creativity is guided by structure. When topics are chosen based on demand, when ideas are validated, and when content is aligned with a buyer journey, results become repeatable. Creators who stop relying on trends shift their focus from what is popular to what is persistent. Problems that do not change. Questions that are asked every day. Mistakes that continue to cost people time and money. This type of content ages well and compounds over time. Each video strengthens the next instead of replacing it. Another advantage of system-driven growth is signal clarity. When your content attracts the same type of viewer consistently, YouTube YouTube understands who to show it to. Distribution improves because the platform can predict satisfaction. Trend hopping confuses Trend hopping confuses this process and resets momentum repeatedly. Removing luck from the equation also changes how success feels. Instead of hoping a video hits, creators know what to expect. Performance becomes a range rather than a gamble. This stability makes it easier to commit long term and to invest in quality without fear. YouTube rewards creators who reduce noise and increase reliability. When viewers trust that every video will deliver value, they return. When YouTube sees that behavior, it amplifies it. The platform is not built to reward chaos, it's built to reward consistency and satisfaction. So, consistently make your videos good, consistently make your videos valuable. Be a reliant creator so that the people watching your videos will come back, and YouTube knows that and can keep pushing them back. When success is driven by systems instead of chance, growth becomes calmer, clearer, and far more profitable over time. How to create ideas that compound over time instead of dying after 48 hours, like this video, which is still getting views every single day and making Jordan Welch a lot of money. So most creators judge a video success far too quickly. They look for the first 24 or 48 hours, see modest performance, and mentally label the video a failure. That mindset is inherited from short form platforms where content lives and dies almost instantly. YouTube does not work in that way, which is why it's the best platform for conversions. The creators who win long term understand that the most valuable videos are often the slowest to take off. Ideas that compound over time are built around performance. They address problems that do not expire, questions that continue to be asked, and situations that new viewers will face regardless of when the video is discovered by them. These ideas are not tied to news cycles, trends, or temporary hype. They are tied to human behavior, decision making, and recurring pain points. The reason most content dies after 48 hours is because it has no reason to be resurfaced. Once the initial burst of impressions ends, there's nothing pulling new viewers in. Compounding content continues to earn clicks because it remains relevant to search, suggested, and browse traffic long after publication. Another key difference is intent. Short-lived videos are often built to entertain or provoke curiosity. Compounding videos are built to solve. When a video solves a problem clearly, viewers seek it out intentionally. The intent-driven traffic is what fuels long-term performance. YouTube prioritizes content that satisfies users over time, not content that spikes briefly. Creators who focus on compounding ideas also structure their videos differently. They avoid references that date the content. They do not anchor the value to current events or temporary circumstances. Instead, they frame the idea in a way that feels timeless. This allows the video to remain relevant even as the channel evolves. Compounding ideas also reinforce each other. When multiple videos address adjacent problems, YouTube begins to connect them. Suggested traffic increases because viewers naturally move from one video to the next. This creates session depth, which is one of the strongest signals that the platform uses to evaluate quality. Another overlooked aspect of compounding content is trust accumulation. When a viewer watches a video months after it was posted and finds it still relevant and useful, credibility increases. That credibility carries forward. Older videos continue to sell the creator's expertise silently without any additional effort, which once again is why YouTube is the best platform. No short form platform can do that. Creators who rely on short-term performance often feel pressure to constantly replace content. Creators who focus on compounding ideas build libraries. Libraries grow in value over time. Each video becomes a part of a system rather than an isolated attempt. Compounding content also changes how creators feel about posting. There's less urgency, less panic, and more intention. When you know a video can work for you, long after it was published, effort feels justified, consistency becomes sustainable. Creating ideas that compound is not about slowing down, it's about choosing ideas that deserve to last. When content is built around enduring problems, clear solutions, and timeless framing, YouTube stops being a platform where content disappears and becomes a platform where work accumulates. The creators who understand this are not chasing views, they're building leverage.